Lutey and the Mermaid. Once upon a time, a fisherman named Lutey lived in a little white cottage up on the Cornish cliffs. The weather had been rough and wild for 2 weeks, and Lutey's boat stayed moored up to the quay. It was impossible to go out fishing. "I'm fed up," Lucy grumbled. "Been working hard all my life, freezing my fingers, breaking my backbone. What have I got to show for it? A little white cottage, a black and white cow, 2 scruffy goats, and a pig. Woof! Woof! And a dog called Jack. If this weather don't change soon, we'll have to start selling the animals or go hungry." Lutey's wife, Bethany, had heard it all many times before. "If you'd have a look out the window, you'll see that the sky is brightening. Why not take Jack for a walk on the beach? See if the tide's brought in anything useful or interesting." So Lutey pulled on his coat, called Jack, and they set off together down the cliff path. The tide had pulled back, revealing a great wide stretch of sand. Lutey kicked along the tide line with Jack, scurrying in circles around him. Suddenly, the dog hurried off behind a great grey rock and began barking and howling in a frenzy of excitement. "What the hang's up with that daft dog now?" muttered Lutey, stomping after to investigate. He rounded the boulder and jerked back again in surprise and embarrassment, because there, immersed in a pool of water, was a naked woman. Her hair wild and floating all about her, and her big eyes stared up in panic. She called out to him in a strange and musical voice, "Please, sir, help me, please." Lutey slowly realised that the large silvery fan in the pool was actually her tail. She was a mermaid. A shiver of fear ran up his spine. He knew that even to see a mermaid was an omen of bad luck. "Please, sir, the tide has left me here stranded. My children are calling me from the surf, and I fear they may be swept away or eaten. Please carry me to the sea." Lutey hesitated, still finding it hard to believe his eyes. "If you will help me," the lovely creature continued, "I will give you a magical gift. My golden comb, you may have it." "I'll help you," said Lutey. The mermaid reached her arms up around Lutey's neck, and he lifted her clear of the pool. Her skin was cold and wet. The salt smell filled his nose as she wrapped her scaly tail around his waist and looked gratefully into his eyes. Lutey strode down across the beach with Jack worrying and yipping at his heels. All the way the mermaid half talked, half sang to him of her children and her beautiful underwater home. When he reached the sea, he walked in until he could feel the cold bite of the shallows around his ankles. "Here you are, my dear," he said. "Now you can get back to your little ones." "No!" she cried in some alarm. "It's too shallow here. I'm afraid I will still be stranded. Take me a little further, Lutey dear." And she tightened her grip around his neck just a little. "Very well," said Lutey, and he waded further out until the water was about up his middle. "Here you are, my dear," he said. "Off you go to your salty palaces." "No!" she cried, still alarmed. "The waves are too strong and would quickly wash me back onto the shore. Take me a little further, Lutey dear." And she tightened her grip around his neck just a little. "Very well," said Lutey, and he pushed up on until the sea was lapping up under his chin. "Here you are, my dear," he said. "Swim back to your grottos and your gardens." "No," she cried softly. "Not without you, brave and handsome Lutey. Come with me under the sea, where all is beautiful, far from the worlds of dying men. You will be a prince among princes." And as she spoke the delights of the depths, Lutey thought how easy it would be to step forward and leave behind his worries and his cares. one step forward. Very well, said Lutey, but woof, woof, came the urgent barking from the beach, jerking him back to his senses. He turned his head and saw how the last rays of the evening sun picked out the little white cottage on the cliff, the animals in the garden, his wife Bethany hanging out the clothes. What was he doing? No, he shouted, I cannot come with you. But her grip tightened around his neck. He reached up and wrenched away her fingers from his throat. Was that a flash of fury in those beautiful eyes? Did she bare her pointed white teeth and clutch and claw and try to drag him down? Lutey splashed to the shore to be greeted by an excited Jack, jumping up and trying to lick his face. They staggered up the cliff path. Bethany was waiting in the cottage doorway. What on earth have you been up to? She laughed. Get your wet things off. There's dry clothes on the bed and supper on the table. Although their parting had been difficult, the mermaid kept her word. The next day, as he strolled along the beach thinking of the events of the day before, the waves dropped something at Lutey's feet. He picked it up in amazement. It was a golden comb encrusted with jewels, unlike anything he'd seen before. From that time on, Lutey's luck changed. Whenever the weather was rough, he had merely to comb the waves, and the sea would become calm and peaceful. So his boat was rarely idle, and the fishing was good. If you should be in Curie and bump into Lutey, he will tell you that he is the happiest man alive. I've got a little white cottage on a black and white cow, 2 scruffy goats, a pig, and a wonderful wife, you'd hear him say. Woof, woof! And a very faithful dog called Jack. What more could any man